Welcome to podcast number 10. Today we're going to talk why you, yes you, the listener,
Me?
needs to oh no, not you.
Oh, not me.
Oh no, our listeners.
Oh.
Why you need to reconnect with yourself. The first thing is you need to understand that fulfilling your duties as an adult and potentially a parent can
Correct.
leave you exhausted and void of invigoration. It's tiring, and you may feel as if you're just going through the motions of life with no way out. Now,
Yes.
I come across this with many men who are running a business, they have a family, they're the provider. Daddy, we want to play. They come home from a long day at the office doing business deals and putting out fires and God knows what else. And the kids want to play. Daddy's got to be available because he's a good father.
Yes, and mommy
then-
wants to pass the kids to daddy because mommy's been with the kids all day and she's done.
And
So, it's
also,
tough.
we got to give time with the wife. And sometimes
Oh, yeah.
you feel like there's just no way out. It's just a never-ending carousel of do this, do that, do this. And you get to the point where you might start resenting people. You might start resenting your environments because you feel like, when do I get something for me? I'm doing all this business. Yes, I'm bringing in money, but I need time for myself.
Recharge the batteries is an expression I like to use. And it's important because you and I see it too. I mean, the one day rolls into the next. And yes, maybe you're going to the gym and you may be doing those things, but sometimes, and that's all quality time and that all adds to your health and all the good things that you're doing for yourself. But sometimes you just need some damn time to yourself where someone's not asking you for something, your phone's not making noise, and you just get to sort of look inward and just recharge the batteries.
Exactly. And these days, there's a lot less of that because think back, and I always like to reference the hunter-gatherer times. Years and years and years ago, decades ago, there was no such thing as a phone. There was no such thing as a computer. There was no such thing as all these distractions. The only focuses in life were survival. It was water, shelter, and procreation.
Right.
And you'd be out in the woods and you might be hunting or you might be gathering berries and you had plenty of time to think because you didn't have people up your butt all day and the kids were back at the camp
I know.
being tended to, right? And learning about how to grow up so they can take over the tasks of the adult world.
And people couldn't find you
Exactly.
because now everybody can find you. I mean, there's really nowhere you go. If you have your phone, people will know where you are. So it's very, we have to make a point to put the phone away and really, really pull the plug, pull the damn plug so that you have time by yourself. It's so important. And I know I'm guilty of it. I probably don't do enough of it either, but I do try to, and we're going to share some of these tips with everyone. But there are things that I like to do to help me just sort of disconnect for a little while because it makes a big, big difference.
It does. And exactly that topic, make time for yourself. Now, this can be many different things. And I encourage you to figure out what is best for you because some people will give you suggestions. We've all got friends who always
Right.
have the answer, right?
Right.
I may or may not be one of those kind of guys. But anyways, we all have friends who just know just what you need. And you're like, that's not really what I need. And this could be me time, meaning you just have 30 minutes to yourself once a week. Now, I'm going to sort of branch off for a second and say that many people will say, oh, but I don't have time. I just have so much going on. And what I've heard from people who are much smarter than me, right, and have helped way more people than I am helping, they say the times that you feel like you don't have time for yourself are the times you need it the most.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
That's when you're spent.
Yeah.
You're at your, I guess, wit's end when you just feel like you can't take on one more thing.
yeah, and you might be at your breaking point. And also the quality of the things that you're doing on a daily basis may diminish because you're stretched so thin. And it could be like a hobby, right? To give a perfect example, Linda and I had hung out with a friend probably about a month and a half ago, and we went up to
the woods,
up to the boonies in Connecticut to where they lived, and we were just doing some shooting out back. And we took the time to connect with these awesome people, and we were in the woods. We were just having fun. We were learning things. We were shooting guns and eating great food.
Right.
And it was just a way to disconnect with the rest of the world. And interestingly enough, they didn't have that good of service there, so we couldn't really do much on the phones anyway.
That's right, our phones. We have to give a shout out to Patty and Greg because it was such a great day.
Exactly, yeah. Patty's cooking, phenomenal, Chef Patty.
Yes.
And Greg, awesome, awesome guy. Super, super awesome. And can build a hell of a damn house, let me tell you.
That's right.
That man is an architect.
And very smart on world affairs.
Yes. And, we were just talking just all these things about life, about politics, about kids, about just personal goals. And, before we know it, the sun's going down and time's passing and we were eating this amazing freaking 100-course meal. And you come back from a time like that and you're just refreshed.
Right.
Because you just took a second to step away. We got our work done in the morning. We went there and we just vegged out on fun. And that was it. And
connecting with other people. We all have our inner circle, right? But, Patty is a client of mine. I know she'll be listening to this. And, but it's good to connect with people that may not be in your daily inner circle. It's nice to step out of your circle because different people give you different perspective on life and you learn things from them. Like I had never met Greg before and, he's full of wisdom and knowledge and I learned a lot from him and it was great to just ask someone questions and understand things and to say, hey, I don't understand this topic and not feel dumb, and have someone say, oh, okay, well, this is how it works or this is what it is. So that all goes to recharging too, because you step outside of out of your inner circle with people that can just add value to your life in a completely different way. And it felt like Christian said, it felt really good to relax and to shoot my gun. I haven't done that in so long, and it definitely was therapeutic in so many ways. And just being out in the woods like that, and just hearing the echo when you pull the trigger, and just little things like that. So it was fun. It was really fun.
Exactly. And just to take a second to actually shed light on that topic of spending time with people that you wouldn't normally, and also conversing with people that have different views than you. Again, this is not necessarily what this podcast is about.
Right.
But I'm going to take a second to shed light on this because at this point in the life in America, that is what we all need. We need to take the time to try to understand others and not say that you're wrong because you're on that team or you're wrong because you're on that team or assuming people are on a team. And yes, that allows you, because remember, when you connect with other people, like Linda said, that does allow you to connect with yourself because you feel better about interactions. Right? And it also gives you a chance to just let the walls down. Or actually, you have to consciously take your guard down. You know what? I might not agree with this person, but let me try to understand their side.
Right.
Not assume that I know it all. Let me try to see another perspective.
Exactly.
Because there's always a good side, no matter what perspective it is. There's always something you can at least learn, right? I didn't really know that before. That's interesting. Now I'm starting to understand why you believe what you believe. Okay, cool. So we can agree that we each believe in our thing, and I respect you.
Right. Absolutely. That's the way it should be, and it's calming. I think to get really overexcited talking to someone that doesn't maybe agree with you or have the same belief system, it's enlightening to sit with someone and just be able to kick it back and forth, and agree to disagree, but in a good way. It's okay.
Exactly.
But yeah, definitely I think one of the things is getting outside of your circle and meeting other people that will add perspective to your life. And adding on to that topic, Christian and our listeners, I think it's important also to take time with your friends that make you laugh and that you can be silly with. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all have different groups of friends, right? Everybody's got a different personality. But you'll have friends that might be more serious and maybe tend to be a little more dramatic and always have issues, and they might be a drain. So that might not be how you want to recharge your batteries. Those might not be the people you want to spend time with. Not that you don't love them, but you have to have friends that make you laugh and giggle and that you just want to be silly with. And I have a couple of girlfriends that are like that, and it's fun, and we just joke around, and maybe you look around if you're in a restaurant and you just sort of pick on things that make you giggle, and it's for yourself. You're not hurting anybody else, but hanging out with your good friends that make you feel great about yourself is another way to recharge your batteries, because you come home and you feel happy, like, wow, that was great. I need to spend more time with that person. So
yes, that's That's very true. Laughing is one of the best medicines.
Just like when we put on Pandora and put the comedian channel on.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I'm going to give them that suggestion.
Yep.
This is something I'll do on a daily basis. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I never have a bad day, all right? A lot of people say, oh, God, you never have a bad day. You're right, I don't.
Right.
Because I'm grateful for what I have and how I'm feeling, and I never look at a day as a bad day. You might just have a bad moment.
Yeah, it's just different.
Or a less than ideal moment. Mm-hmm. Words are powerful. But anyways, you wake up in the morning, you might be feeling, That's the explanation I'm going to give. I feel, today, right? And I challenge you to put on 5 minutes, even 3 minutes, of your favorite stand-up comedian, and tell me your morning is not automatically better, right? That is one of the best hacks. We're all about hacks these days, right? Making things simple and quick.
That's a great word.
That is one of the best hacks. Stand-up
Self-care
comedy.
hack.
5 minutes. Tell me your day's not better. You'll be freaking hopping and skipping out the door with your coffee just flying out of your hand.
Well, what's funny about that, Kristen, is the other morning when I get up to do fasted cardio about 5:30, and who's really happy at 5:30? Well, not that I wasn't happy, but I was still groggy, I should say. I'm like you. People say that to me too. You're always smiling and happy because I'm just blessed every day to have what I have and to be able to do what I love. But I got up to do fasted cardio. I turned on my phone. I think we had been using my phone the day prior, and it was on the Pandora Comedy Channel, and George Lopez popped up, and he was talking about how his grandmother used to beat them or something. Oh, yeah. And I just started cracking up. It was the best. So that's a great point. It's a great start your day with some laughter. You know what? You'll sail through the rest of it.
Exactly. Yes. And mornings are the rudder of your day. You talk about reconnecting. Yeah. That's a whole nother podcast. I could just go on all day about that. But the other thing I want you to understand is that taking time for yourself is okay. I will say that again. You listening to this right now, taking time for yourself is okay. And I bring this up because many of us feel guilty, and I can understand. I have been there, and I am there every now and then, where, but if I take time, that makes me selfish. And you might, have kids, and you're like, but if I take time for myself, that's less time I have with them, and they're not going to love me. And, and all the stories that you tell yourself about why you're not a good person because you're taking time for yourself. Remember, in order for you to take care of others, you need to take care of yourself. Without your own health and sanity, you cannot help others develop their health and sanity. And that includes your husband and your kids and your friends. Like Linda said, the ones who drain you with their problems.
Right. Those aren't the ones that you want to recharge with.
Exactly. You need to make time for yourself every week. And tell yourself, it's okay, I am here now, I am enjoying it, and that is fine. It's okay if no one can reach you for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. That is part of your self-care and personal health.
I was actually chatting with someone the other day, talking about working out. And when I lift, I don't bring my phone on the floor with me because I don't want to be distracted by hitting social media, or if someone sends me a text, then I feel like I have to respond right away. So I don't take my phone with me. I leave it in my bag, and because I feel if the world can't survive for an hour and change without me, right? So, I was having this conversation with someone who had their phone with them, who was constantly in between sets answering a text or doing something, and I said, you need to just put that thing away because your workout's going to take you 2 hours doing it like that. It's so therapeutic to just be in the gym by yourself. I mean, if you want to listen to music, I guess you can put it on airplane mode so that the sounds don't come through, or something, if there's a way to disconnect from that. But I like to just be, one-on-one with myself when I'm lifting and just focus on what I'm doing and have an inner dialogue too. I think it's very important to talk to yourself and look at your life realistically. I feel like those are the moments when I'm the most honest with myself. What do you think about that?
So I'm actually going to take a different perspective on that. Now, I carry my phone with me when I work out because that's where my music comes from.
Right.
Now, I'm a person that, I don't like to hear what's going on in the background because oftentimes you hear people bickering. People, when you have your headphones in, people are also less likely to bother you.
True.
And, as much as it's great to connect with people that you don't always see when you see them at the gym, I'm in there to do a job. And this job is important because it results in certain things, certain goals that I'm pursuing in my life. So, and for you, you may go to the gym and you see your friends there. Hey, Ed, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And they start talking about the family. And then before you know it, 30 minutes has gone by. Damn, I only had an hour here to work out. Now I just lost half of my workout. So having headphones in sometimes is good if you feel like you might be distracted by others. But I think the other thing is I'm a guy who loves to challenge myself. If there's something that's difficult in my life, I like to dig into it. It's just how I am. And I recommend that for a lot of people, that if you find yourself victim to, I shouldn't say victim, if you choose to look at social media and answer texts while you're working out and distract yourself, try to commit to not looking at the phone for those purposes, but you can still have it for music. So I keep it with me for music. If I get messages, I do not look at them. I just focus on what I'm doing.
No, that's good. Yeah, so, that's the other piece of it then too, because I know a lot of people will need music, and it's true. But if you can totally just disconnect from the dings and the bongs and all that stuff and focus on your workout, because that's really another great way to recharge yourself is when you're in there just feeling strong and you're knowing that you're making your body strong, you're making your body healthier, making your brain healthier, you're making every aspect of your life stronger. And when you go home and face family or whatever it is that your life involves, you're much stronger to deal with it. You don't feel resentful. You feel strong, like, okay, I can take on any problem because you've got that inner strength. Makes a big difference. I know it works for me a lot. My workouts are definitely therapeutic and a good time for self-care. One thing I love that I will share with all of you, and I was supposed to do it yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to. And I was going to take time yesterday to self-care, but I decided I needed to stay in and work because I had some things I needed to finish. But so there's one example of it. But I wanted to get a pedicure because I just really wanted to sit back in the chair, close my eyes while somebody else just sort of took care of something for me. And that's a great way, ladies. I know we all know how great it is, but even for guys too, it's a nice way to just escape. Getting a good lower leg foot massage for 15 minutes is quite a nice way to recharge your batteries. Getting those piggies painted.
That's very true. And to dial back on the mention that Linda brought up before, quiet time is very important. And this is something I've reflected on in the past. And I've done a crap job in the past of this, and there are still days that I do a crap job. And the technology that we all know and love is our best friend, but it's also our worst enemy. Our brain and our body do very, very well with nothing. And what I mean by that is not, like Linda mentioned, answering to the pings and pongs and all the noises and messages and sense of urgency that the phone creates. It creates a little bit of stress. It can make you anxious, right?
Absolutely.
And the other thing is you become victim to needing stimulation, right? Something that I recommend is a quiet walk outdoors. I usually say try to find a place in the woods, because if you're on the street, there's still cars and you're still on the grid, and there's still there's still a lot of distractions. But I'm a person who loves nature, and walking in a place that's very wooded, and something as simple as, like, when I walk to get my car in the morning, right? I look at the squirrels, I look at the birds. I love listening to the birds because, they're little people and they're just having conversations with themselves.
It makes you feel happy.
Yeah. And it, there's something about the vibrance of the earth that allows us to regenerate. Think about this. When you have a life that's full of hustle and bustle and you're working, and especially if you live in an area that's a city, where do you go when you go on vacation? Oh, we just got to get away. We got to go away to a quiet, right? A quiet beach, someplace in the woods, someplace where there's not all the hustle and bustle.
Right.
So you can take a little bit of that every day and give it to yourself. If you live in a city, let's say you lived in New York City, go to Central Park, right? Walk somewhere, even though it's in the middle of a big city, it still gives you a little bit of that step away. And put a set of headphones on. Sometimes I'm in the house doing something and I put on the sounds of nature. And it almost, and sometimes I'll do this when I go to sleep. I'll put earphones in and listen to the sounds of nature. So it makes me feel like I'm outside, like I'm surrounded by nature. And there's a little bit of a refreshing feeling. And when you're in nature, there's a natural vibrance from the earth, the electromagnetic fields that some of us know about. And it helps your body regenerate. So sometimes you have to consciously step away from the thing that is making you anxious.
Yep.
And it's not that, hey, how do I get out of this? Well, you have to walk yourself out. You might have to drive yourself out, go to a campsite, walk around, find a trail. And it's something that you should do on a regular basis, because these times that you connect with yourself, it's a tank that has to be refilled. And if you let it run dry, you end up in the same spot you were before, when you felt like you were about to lose your shit. I'm just going to say
for
it.
lack of a better word.
So,
and the other thing that we're lucky too, Christian, is that, we live on the coast, so we're lucky. And, being able to, I love going down to the beach and just sitting there, and you look out and you see the, people have their boats docked. Maybe not so much now that it's winter, but there's something about being near the ocean too that just makes you feel small, and then I mean that in a good way, that, sometimes we think our problems are so big or our issues are so big, right? But you go to like the ocean, you look how vast it is, and you just feel that release. Something about hearing the water and the waves coming up, and it's so therapeutic to be near the water also, or even if it's a pond or a lake too. You won't get that wave sound, but being outside in nature and hearing the nature sounds is very therapeutic, and it really helps you, I think, relax, be calm, and just get in touch with yourself, which is really the gist of this whole podcast, is making time. It's like anything else. Clients will say, oh, this diet's so hard, or it's really hard to get to the gym, or, all these things that are good for us, we have to push ourselves to do, or else we don't feel optimal. So whether it's self-care, working out, eating right, sleeping well, whatever it is, these important things, we have to put the attention on it and make sure that we make it part of our routine and we schedule it in, so that we know, oh, okay, tomorrow at 10, I'm going to go down to the beach and walk for 30 minutes, or sit by the water, or meditate, whatever it is. But we've got to make sure that we schedule those things in, because if not, it's just too easy to get caught in the rat race, and before you know it, you're maxed out and you're yelling at everybody and you're just super tense and you've got aches and pains and you don't feel optimal.
Exactly. And another important topic is ask for help. Now, this one especially goes out to the parents, and I speak on this topic from experience, where I'm a do-it-yourselfer, right? I learned the phrase from my dad, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And sometimes I do that to the nth degree, to the point where you put too much on your plate and you can put yourself in that rat race. It's like you're a mouse on a wheel, and the things to do just keep coming, and you knock them out of the way, and they just keep coming. But asking for help, even if it's around the house, right? Let's say you find that you're the spouse or the partner that does all the chores. You're cleaning the dishes, you're cleaning the house, you're making the calls to get this fixed or do that or whatever it is, setting up the meetings, whatever. And you think, I'll just do this just because I can. Versus, let's have a conversation. Hey, honey, I want to talk to you for a second. I'm feeling very overwhelmed, and I would like it if we could divvy up the responsibilities around the house, so it becomes easier on me, and we're both doing an equal amount of work, right? Then at least one, there's less on your plate. Two, you feel better because you're both working at it as a team. Sometimes you can become resentful of your partner because you're like, oh, well, they don't do anything, but you have to take the time to bring light on it, to shed light on it, right? Have the conversation. If you need help, ask for it. And this could even be with friends, right? Linda brought this up earlier. You might have a friend that always comes to you with their problems, and you might feel obligated. Oh, well, I have to talk to them because, they're just going through this thing and I want to be a good friend. Well, what about what you need?
But it stresses you out.
Yeah. And they call you, and then they zap a half hour of your night. And now you've got all these things on your mind that are going on with them. And you're like, oh, well, maybe I should check in with them. And, what's going on with them? Sometimes it's okay to say, you know what? Tonight's just not a good night.
Yep.
We can definitely talk about this later in the week. And the good thing about that is when they've had time to cool things off in their own head, they might not even need the talk.
Won't be an issue probably anymore.
Yeah. But if you're always impulsive and reacting to, oh, they need me right now, then you're going to get caught up in that web of just anxiety and stress, and everyone needs me. you have to be your own advocate for your own time. Remember, if you leave your time to everyone, they will suck it up. Trust me.
Absolutely.
And think about what the potential a stressful day would look like. Let's say you get up late. Okay, you're already off on the wrong foot. You get to work late. That's another check. You didn't get to eat breakfast. Damn, I'm hungry. Now I got to wait till lunch.
Right.
Then the boss is like, get these things done. They slam stuff on your desk. Damn, now I got to skip lunch. Then you come home, right? No one's made dinner. Maybe the husband or the wife or whoever's not home. So now you got to do something for yourself. And then that friend calls. Oh, this is not the right time. But you know what? I want to be a good friend. Then they zap another half hour.
Right.
You're already fatigued.
You're maxed out.
From the day. And
Maxed
now you just let them suck more juice out of you. Then the kids need you. Mommy, daddy, I want to play. Out of this. This happened at work. No, I don't want to do that. Blah, blah, blah. And then all these things, they pile up. And what are you left with at the end of the night? Stress. Then what happens? Then we're going to keep going further.
Then you don't sleep well.
And you can't sleep. And I hear this all the
And
time.
it starts again the next day.
Yes. And men, you need to talk to, you know what? I'm going to get into that after this. Because as men, we are self-solvers, right? I'll be fine. I'm good. I don't need anyone's help. I don't need to talk to anybody. I'm a man. I can just, and that's what we're taught as kids. Mm-hmm. And all these things that build up throughout the day. And now you're left with that, and you can't even get yourself some good damn sleep. And then guess what happens tomorrow? The race starts all over again.
Yeah, and that's why it's important. That's why it's important to schedule in you time, so that at least you know if you have a day like that, you know, the next day or the day after, whatever your scheduled you time is when you're going to be able to recharge those batteries. And you have to be, you have to be adherent to it and put it in your schedule and make sure you have it. Because if not, whether it's a pedicure, a facial for the chicks or the guys too, gym time, vacation time, outdoor time, whatever it is that gets you going, that's what you need to make sure you do. There's no way around it, or else you will get sucked in and you will be maxed out. And it's just so unhealthy. And then stress, all that leads to people have heart attacks and health issues and all those things that ensue because we're not taking care of ourselves. So it's not just always eating right and exercising. There are a lot of other things that go into living a healthful, happy life. Yeah.
And I mean, one of the final things is setting goals. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that sounds like, hey, that's another thing on the list. And it is, but there is a reason. If you're just doing things for other people, I bring this up because I've got, several clients that are stay-at-home moms. And, they're great at their jobs. They're great at raising kids. They're great at keeping the home operating like it should be. And because they have a lot on their plate, they often don't have anything, any goals set for themselves. They may have had a career in the past and they stopped that to raise the kids.
Right.
Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they just have been a stay-at-home mom from day one. But, what often happens with them is they might feel my life is for my kids and my husband and the household.
Right.
And they don't pick up necessarily any hobbies. They might talk to their friends or go out to lunch every once in a while, but they don't necessarily have any goals. They're not doing anything that feels bigger than themselves, that there's this grand purpose. Yeah. And that can easily lead to the feeling of a lack of fulfillment and just sort of going through the motions every day. And I encourage, all of you and, the women and their stay-at-home dads too, the people in that audience, set yourself some goals. There might be, and it could be something like, I'm going to do a Spartan race. Who knows? Right? Shout out to Joe Jacena, creator of Spartan Race.
Or I want to learn a language, or, something when your kids, just if they're smaller and they're sleeping, maybe you're reading something that you want to gain more knowledge about, something that's going to empower you, that makes you feel like you have something for yourself.
Exactly. And because remember, the way that we feel, we develop confidence and we develop self-respect and all those great things, positive self-image, is we are moving towards our meaningful goals and we're making progress. And if you don't have any of those, you're never going to feel like you're headed anywhere. And you're going to look like, okay, I'm just going to reach the end of my life and I haven't accomplished anything.
I know.
And that is not a good place to be. So, and it doesn't matter what the goal is. If you have something that you find interesting in life, then go for it. Just give yourself something to work towards, and I promise you it'll pay off in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. At the end of the day, I always say we're all we've got, right? I mean, you could have, you have a family and you have people that love you and all that, but at the end of the day, you're all you've got, and you have to take care of your vessel. You're going to take care of your Lamborghini or whatever your sports car is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Treat yourself the same way.
Exactly. So remember, make time to reconnect with yourself, because if you don't do it, no one else will. And we will talk to you next time.
Catch you the next time.